This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions as far as the eye can see. And only one will survive. I wonder who will it be? This is the ultimate showdown in part 7 of this LP. Dun, 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 dun. But keep in mind, guys, this is not going to be the last part of this playthrough. It's just going to be the last part where we see some cutscenes in the game. Speaking of which, I'm not a big fan of this cutscene just because what they show at the end. Okay, so small spoiler alert, it's going to happen in 5 seconds anyways. But Tails does not turn into a robot, obviously. But the thing is, why don't they cut out this last part of the cutscene? Right here. Cut it out. And if they really wanted to show it later down in the game, and I'll tell you when they should have put it in, they could have. But now this kind of loses the whole surprise of it. Like, I just don't get it. Are we supposed to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming later on in the game? It just loses the element of surprise. And I know it's kind of a nitpick, but it just pisses me off. And Sonic, you asshole, you talk about genocide and you just sacrificed a few pebbles just to see how long of a drop it was. You bastard. But yep, keeping up with the Mario tropes, we're now in the last main world, which is Lava Mountain. And now we're gonna see some badass sacrifice. Eggman could end it right here. He can let go of Sonic and stop a whole franchise of video games. But he decides to be the better man and risk his life. That's it, guys. We're never seeing Eggman in another game again. It's done. Actually, believe it or not, that's not the first time Eggman saved Sonic over a big lava pit. But the first time it actually happens is in Sonic 2 for the Master System and the Game Gear, where it literally happens right before the first boss fight. Eggman just comes out randomly and saves Sonic, and then decides to kill him. And did you catch that brilliant line by Master Zik right there? Says revenge is a dish best served cold. Fight Sonic in a lava stage. Seems legit. That was some brilliant script writing right there. But anyways, yes, this is the first act of Lava Mountain Zone. And it's pretty much a boss rush than anything else. It's not an actual level. So yes, this boss fight obviously consists of Zaz, Zomom, and Master Zik. The funny thing is, once you actually kill these guys off, you never see them ever again. They literally just disappear in a puff of smoke. You never see them in any other cutscenes, except for the final credits. But come on, that doesn't count, guys. Anyways, if you're wondering why I'm not directly going after Zaz right now, it's because of the red rings. Now, someone please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I've been playing this level multiple times, and I believe the red rings show up during a certain period of time. You know, it's not just random. So that being said, you can't just directly fight off all the bosses because you'll finish the stage before all the red rings show up. So that's why I'm just kind of taking it slow. And I really do apologize because I have the urge to kick his ass so much right now. You know what? Screw it. You can also get some of the red rings during Zomom's phase. I'm pretty sure you can also get it during Zik's phase, but I don't recommend doing it because most of the planet breaks up into lava. And here comes the big boy. And say goodbye to Zaz, people, because we will never see him again. Well, I'll probably see him again very soon, the next time I play Sonic Dash. For those who didn't know, Sega included him as a boss fight in that game to promote Sonic Lost World. It's actually the best boss fight with Zaz you'll ever face. Better than all the boss fights you'll find in this game anyways. Okay, just one more red ring and we can go full force on this boss fight. Oh look, Zomom just burnt his ass. Similar to another boss fight I know of. Wink wink, nudge nudge. But yeah, you know what? I give it a lot of crap for these character battles, but to be honest, when I think about the past Sonic games, remember the Sonic Adventure character battles? Like the one with Knuckles? Oh no! Or the one in the Sonic Adventure 2 as well with Shadow. Alright, we got all the red rings, now let's proceed to kick all their asses. And whoa, look how huge Zomom is! Like in comparison to when we fought him in 2D, he wasn't that large. Or even the time we fought him in Desert Ruins 2, he was definitely not that big. Maybe the Mountain Dew machine made him like that huge. Anyways, Master Zik, all he does is shoot balls at you, literally. I'll meet you on the other side, dude. And sorry guys, I was talking over it, But Zomom's final death words are hilarious. He's like, "Mom was right. I'm a failure. You should have stayed in school, man. And lay off the Twinkies." And now, guys, let's bow our heads in respect, since we will no longer see those three anymore. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the heart does go on. But just, if you guys were expecting just to see death of Zeddy in this part, well, other players would tell you otherwise, because we're going to do possibly and arguably the hardest level in the game right here. And yes, when it does come to straight out challenge, I would agree with those people. This is indeed, in my opinion, the hardest level in the game as well. But if you saw me in Tropical Coast Act 3, you would already know that I personally love these rail grinding stages because they reminded me of Donkey Kong Country. So my body was ready when doing this stage the first time around. I'm pretty much used to it, this kind of challenge. So yeah, but pro tip number 1, I highly recommend you avoid those bomb carts because they're an instant KO. And probably the reason you're going to be dying over and over again in this stage. Sonic's jump is pretty much the key to survival when it comes to these levels. Now, something I didn't really explain is that when you jump in midair on a rail, you can pretty much halt yourself or push yourself forward depending on what direction you're pointing at with the analog stick. If you go right, if you point right, Sonic will dash forward in that direction. However, if you pull back to the left, Sonic will halt in midair and go slower than usual. So that's basically a good way of controlling Sonic's speed, and let me just tell you, it's a lifesaver if you know how to abuse it well. To the point where this stage really isn't that challenging for me that much anymore. But yes, at least we get to hear this beautiful, wonderful music one last time. We also have some Manta Ray Robots now. Pretty much they only target you depending on what rail you're on. So as long as you keep switching around, you'll be alright. And I love how you can activate switches in order for the Manta Ray Robots to crash into the machinery. That's pretty cool. We also got a different backdrop this time around. In Tropical Coast, this stage's background was kind of bluish, and now we got more of a purplish color. So these rails actually determine what speed you're going at. So the fastest you can go at is with the green ones. The second fastest is the silver, and the red is the slowest. This will be crucial for the end of the stage, as you'll be seeing. But yes, this is the moment where most people nerd rage at, and I can't blame them because the checkpoint placement is a bit far away from here on out. So in order to survive, you're pretty much going to have to dodge everything in sight. But like I said before, hold back on the analog stick and you'll halt Sonic down to a pace where you can control him properly. For this red ring, you might want to do that, like, But you gotta be careful because the camera doesn't really scroll all the way down. Not gonna lie to you guys, my hands are a bit sweaty right now. I'm a bit nervous because I really want to do this in one run. Like, this is the only stage in Lava Mountain Zone where you don't have to worry about a final boss. But to be honest, this is pretty much harder than all the bosses in the game combined. So you want to just go up and down and all around. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. So right here, you just want to hold back on the analog stick. Yes! And just don't hold in any direction for this part. Okay. Woo! We're almost at the final stretch, baby. We're almost done this level. But yeah, now we got one last 3D portion. My body is ready. And do I dare go for the green rings? Yes, screw it! I have no regrets! I go all the way with my playthroughs, baby. We don't go for the wimpy sides. Like the cool kids say, YOLO! No, actually, screw YOLO. I'm gonna slap myself as soon as this level is done for saying that. Just jump! Yes! Ollie ollie oxen free! We're practically done here, but don't let the level fool you. It has one last trick up its sleeve. Quickly jump to the red rail. Now slow down. Beep beep. Okay. Alright, now we're truly done this level. Swag like Caillou. But yeah, seriously guys, that was pretty much the hardest level in the game. If you could tackle that level, you're pretty much down set for the rest of this game. However, don't take the next level so lightly. In fact, some people like to compare it to Eggman Land from Sonic Unleashed due to its difficulty and long length, but it's definitely not that hard. Come on, guys. It'd be funny if like Big the Cat popped up on screen and he was like, "Froggy, where are you?" Big's still your friend, right, Sonic? He probably chills out with Zomom every now and then. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. That was for the stupid YOLO statement I made. Anyways, we only got 2 more levels and then we're done the main storyline campaign thing. But as I said before, this is actually the longest level in the game, especially if you don't know what you're doing the first time around. But let me just tell you, the key to success, at least for the first time you play it, is just to take it slow. I know our natural Sonic instinct tells us not to go slow, but sometimes you gotta go moderately fast-paced in order to go fast. And yes, Zor, have my non-existent babies. And by the way, guys, this is the cutscene I was talking about where they should have inserted a flashback to the first cutscene we saw in this part. It just would have made way more sense. An original of the character. Do not steal. He looks like some Mega Man Robot Master knockoff. That's definitely what she said. But yeah, seriously, Tails loves to roleplay. He even has a freaking Mega Buster right over there. It actually looks pretty cool. You know, Sega gets some DLC on that. But first of all, make Tails a freaking playable character. Well, I'll get on that rant later about how they should have unlockable characters in this game, other than just Sonic. Frick. And while we're on the subject of Tails, I'll talk about the level in just 1 second, guys. Don't worry, it's so long, I'll have more than enough to say. But am I the only one who wants to fight some dark, possessed version of Tails? And no, I'm not referring to the Tails doll. I mean, Sega kinda trolled me twice with this. The first time was in Sonic Colors, where Eggman shoots his, like, dark energy Nega Wisp mind control thing at Tails. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a Dark Tails boss fight, this is gonna be sick. No, it wears out in like 2 seconds. I'm like, ah. And then it happens again in this game, it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna make Tails a robot. We're gonna have a sick boss fight with Tails. And they don't even let us think we're gonna face Tails. They just spoil it at the end of the cutscene, which even pisses me off more. But wouldn't the concept be cool? I think that would be one of the best boss fights ever. And don't take it the wrong way, I love Tails. He's my 3rd favorite Sonic character, but just the concept alone sounds pretty badass. I would support a boss fight like that. Anyways, guys, sorry about that rant. It's just, I think it'd be so cool. So this is Lava Mountain Zone 3. It's pretty much the Bowser's Castle, or the Wily Fortress of this game. And look at this, I'm going to show you something really funny with Xena. Just do a jump to the left side and... Hey Xena, over here! And judging by Sonic's facial reaction, he's probably like in his mind, that ass! This boss fight kind of reminds me of Iggy from Super Mario World. And now it's done, time to get my teabag. Suck it! And that's the last we'll be seeing of Xena, ladies and gentlemen. But no worries, because I probably created 1,000 more fanfictions by doing that. I'm sorry, guys. It's all my fault. Anyways, this level, like with a lot of the levels in this game, is split between 3D and 2D. Of course, if you know me by now, I prefer these 3D sections. They're a lot more fun. So 4 Zeddy down, 2 more to go, guys. Whoa! Well, that last cannonball was such a troll. It came out way more slowly than the other ones. But anyways, yeah, let's take on Zor, peoples. But since I'm murdering each member of the Deadly Six without any care in the world, I guess I might as well end off with my closing thoughts about them in general. So yeah, these guys have grown on me ever since the trailers. I mean, at first I thought, when I first saw them, like, oh my gosh, Sega is just completely going for the kids with these Skylander-looking characters. But that wasn't the case when I actually played the game. I actually kind of got more attached to them as I heard their random lines, and it's just the perfect definition of that, you know, looks can be deceiving sometimes. They provided some pretty good humor. Granted, I definitely like some more than others. You know, it's interesting. We've seen such a variety of different Sonic enemies. Of course, Eggman started it all in the beginning. But ever since the Dreamcast, we got, like, Perfect Chaos, the Bio-Lizard, Dark Gaia, a demonic hedgehog. And now that I think about it, this is not the first time we've seen aliens in a Sonic game. What about Shadow? And is Black Doom and his aliens somehow related to the Deadly Six? You know, that would be like the biggest plot twist ever. Black Doom just shows up and he's like, "These are my homies." Speaking of aliens, this is actually the last Wisp in the game that kind of just snuck in there. It's the Hover Wisp. Talk about being late to the party, dude. But yeah, the Hover Wisp is another returning color power-up from Sonic Colors. And thankfully, you can control it in both 2D and 3D in this stage. But I won't be able to showcase it in 3D, unfortunately, due to some annoying red ring placements. Anyway, Zora, let's dance. Yeah, this boss fight is actually pretty interesting, just because you can't win by hitting Zor. You actually have to avoid him and just get to the top. It's over, Zor! I have the high ground! That kind of pained me to do that, but it's something he always wanted. Now, I'm going to show you how I get these red rings without losing millions of lives. You know, some people might consider it a cop-out, but, you know, screw the haters. I do things by my own rules. So right here, you just want to time it, make sure you're in the right position, and... okay, just slightly missed it. But you get the idea. Just go to the end of the edges of this railing. Dang it, stupid parkour. Okay, there. Now the second one is way more annoying, even if you're doing it the original way, because you can't go back. Just make sure you land on the right side of the rail, and you'll be alright. And I overshot it. Oh, ho, ho, ho! Not today, Zerg. Somebody check the replay on that, because I could have sworn I died. Okay, let's do this next red ring. Like, seriously, I can't believe I survived that. Dang it, I missed it. Anyways, for this one, you have to jump back, because you can't climb to the top of that wall. So make sure you just do a jump. Yes, okay, got it. Anyways, from here on out, just do a spin dash jump towards these springs. And you know what? If you want to completely bypass this section, you could with the Hover Wisp. You see those trail of rings? Like with Colors, you can just follow it to do a light dash and completely... Dang it, crab meat! And completely bypass it. Just like how I'm bypassing all these animal capsules just to get the red ring. Zavic's such a dick, man. He puts all the freaking animal capsules in these freaking spike pits. Speaking of which, it's the final countdown. So yes, we just have to deal with Zavic now. And can you believe it, guys? We're almost done the main story already. You know, Sonic games aren't exactly known for their long length. And I'm completely fine with that, as long as they have a lot of replay value, which this game does. I'd only say Lost World... Oh, secret, New Super Mario Bros. Style. Anyways, I'd only say Lost World is slightly longer than both Colors and Generations, only probably because of the animal grinding, which doesn't really take much time if you know how to abuse the tactics. But for me, as long as a Sonic game has a lot of replay value and just some reason to go back to it, which they definitely do, whether it's improving your time or finding different routes, that's what I always crave in my Sonic games. Like, for example, we're not even close to finishing this game completely, guys, even though we have most of the red rings. And yes, Savic, I wanna hear you roar. And he somehow learned how to do Hadoukens. And you just gotta slap that ass to finish him. I'm not gonna lie, that was actually a pretty disappointing boss fight. Yeah, that's right, Zavic, you commit suicide. That was oh my gosh! Where the frick was Kamek? I didn't see him do a double rainbow spell on Zavic. So yeah, let's get the plumber out of the room and say this does not remind me of another final boss fight from another famous platforming game. Now, despite this boss fight not being exactly original, it's actually one of my more favorite ones in the game. You know, at this point, I'll just take something fun. But something that does change from the New Super Mario Bros. Bowser boss fight is just that you can't just constantly run away from Zavic and hope to win. You see these fire blocks, you have to knock them back right at him in order for him to fall off the stage. Now, you can actually finish this boss fight in like 10 to 15 seconds if you wanted to, using that first row of explosives we saw towards the beginning of the boss fight. But you know, that wouldn't be any fun, as I do feel that this is one of the best boss fights in the game, so I do want to showcase it a bit more. And he's getting a lot closer. Suck on this, Zavic. Can't touch this. Oh yeah, and his two attacks, other than just climbing upwards, he has fireballs, and he does his shoop-the-whoop laser like now. Anyways, yeah, this boss fight also kind of reminds me of Catherine, like one of the Nightmare stages. All you need is Zavik saying, "Take some responsibility," and maybe add some falling flickies instead of sheep, and boom, you got Catherine right there, a nightmare stage. Okay, I think this show's over. Let's finish him off. And goodbye, Zavik. You're the only one who truly provided any sense of challenge, or just a decent boss fight in general. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time. Sayonara, Deadly Six. And thank you, Tails, but you know, if you had better aim with that freaking blaster, you probably would have saved us a whole level worth of trouble. You should try joining the Stormtroopers, I'm sure they'll love you. Oh, and hey there, Eggman. Didn't see that coming. And come on, Eggman, you needed some alone time right when you were falling toward your death. That's when you think about masturbating. You dirty man. Okay, and obviously, I didn't actually think Eggman died for real the first time I saw that cutscene. I mean, if Eggman seriously died, there would be more nerd rages than from when they changed his name from Robotnik to Eggman. Like, seriously. However, I did see the final boss going a bit differently in my mind. But I'll save that because we are approaching the final boss fight with Eggman or Robotnik, whatever you like. And I find the transition between this level and the next a bit confusing. I think they just should have warped you to the boss fight. I mean, you're basically having Eggman wait for you. I know you need 5,000 flickies, but it's kind of stupid. Like, what if you don't have 5,000 flickies? You're pretty much asking for Eggman to wait for you. Oh, we got a black bomb, Wisp. Whatever you do, do not get rid of this item. I'll tell you in a later part why. Just don't get rid of it. Trust me. You'll thank me later. But yeah, like I was saying, it's kind of similar to in Final Fantasy 8 or 9 when there's a big boss battle coming, and then you see some random guy and you challenge him to a card game. He's like, "Oh no, the world's gonna be destroyed." You're like, "Hey, you want to play cards?" And like, "Yeah, sure, I got a second." Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, is Eggman gonna wait for you to get all those flickies before fighting him? It's just kind of awkward. Alright, so here it is, the final boss battle in the game. And let me just say, to start us off, this is the best boss battle in the game. The music kicks ass, but even then, I'm a little disappointed. Okay, let me explain. First of all, for those who haven't played Colors, this is kind of essentially a copy and paste of that final boss battle. And for my money, this version isn't exactly better than that one. And before I go any further with this mini rant, to collect all the red rings in this boss fight, like with Lava Mountain Zone Act 1, you just have to wait around for them to appear. So my recommendation is to keep Eggman in his first phase, so the camera doesn't shift all the time. Now, with that being said, back to the mini boss rant. Now, like I said before, this is an awesome boss fight, but it's hard to give it much praise when all it is essentially is the Sonic Colors boss fight with a new paint job and new, slightly different attacks. But the main reason why I find this disappointing is because it's not as good or quite as good as the Sonic Colors boss fight, in my opinion. I mean, look at this. You have the homing attack chain up the arm, like in the final boss fight. You got the slow-moving Sonic in midair with Eggman doing where'd the ball animation. And you know, to nitpick some more, this whole boss battle feels a lot less epic than the one in Colors. I mean, in that game, you had a whole space station about to explode. Each time you knocked down the robot backwards, you would release a Wisp, and it was following you while the music would change eventually, building up to this epic climax. It was awesome. In this game, it doesn't really do anything like that. But you know what would be my idea for this boss fight? I mentioned the Deadly Six before, because I thought they were actually going to join in this eventually. But I think what would have been cool is that, like in Colors, how Eggman absorbed the Wisp's energy, and the robot would change its attacks. Like, for example, it would use Laser or Cube. I think they should have done that again with the Deadly Six. Like, he absorbs, for example, Zor, and he would the robot would change its color scheme to match him, like purple and gray, and then he would shoot out dark blasts of energy. Or if it was Zomom, the robot would be fatter, and he would do butt stomps all across the place. Like, something like that would have given this boss fight more, like, oomph and originality. Granted, it would be kind of borrowing, but at least it would feel a bit more different. Like, I know I let Zavik off with his boss fight, but keep in mind, that wasn't the final one. That wasn't the last thing I remembered from completing the main storyline. And like I said before, I do enjoy this boss fight. I was just kind of disappointed that they didn't really add so much to it. You know, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. And look, Team Eggman's blasting off again! Bing! Just like in Colors. And you know what, I guess that's what Sonic Team was trying to do with this fight. They wanted to make it somewhat of a tribute. But in my opinion, if you want to do something like that, you need to make it better than the original if you want it to stand out. But regardless, I still had a fun time with it. And like I said before, it's definitely the best boss battle in the game. Period. No competition. Yeah, sorry about that, Tails. I'll make sure to never disturb you on your period ever again. And I definitely know what the fox says now. Just listen to signs of Tails PMSing. That's what you get with the fox. And what the hell? I thought we just sent Eggman's ass to Pluto, which will always be a planet in my book. Freaking dwarf planet my ass. So after that line, it gets me wondering if we are going to see the Deadly Six ever again. It'd be interesting, I guess, but they'd have to... Whoa! And did Sonic just pull that out of his ass? That tubular freaking exhaust hose out of his ass. Yes, Sonic. I mean, the Chaos Emeralds is one thing, but something that long isn't just for storage. Oh my gosh, everyone's a dirty animal in this game. I don't care. But yes, let the Mountain Dew be free to expose to young children everywhere. So yes, this game's story isn't exactly amazing, but in my opinion, it beats out the Colors in the Generations ones. Especially Generations story. What story did that game have? Let's be honest. Almost anything can beat that. Speaking of Generations, isn't this the same place where they had Sonic's birthday party? Right by Old Smokey the tree? Oh, shut up, Knuckles. Why aren't you guarding the Master Emerald? Or at least flexing your muscles. I'll take one or the other. You know, I really hope they give him an active role in the next game, because this is starting to get a bit ridiculous. So rest easy, heroes, but for now, get ready for a fabulous makeover! Nah, I'm just kidding with you guys. For those who don't know, Sonic Boom is a completely different universe from the modern Sonic saga. So that being said, this won't be the last time we ever see a modern Sonic game. And whoops, there it is! Guys, that's the main campaign of Sonic Lost World for you. It definitely isn't as long if you're not going for the red rings, but this is a completionist playthrough, as I said before. And we're not even close to done yet. So while this isn't the last part, I guess now would be the perfect time to sum up my overall thoughts on Lost World as a whole. Like I said during the very first part, it's a very polarizing game. The reception between both like the fans and critics seems to be really mixed. But here I go with my personal thoughts on the game, and please keep in mind that this is my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong, also vice versa. This is just my personal experiences with the game, and I hope we can all be mature and not freak out for having different views. So with that being said, let's start out with the bad, because I always like to end off on a high note. So my biggest complaint when it comes to this game is the poor tutorials when it comes to explaining Sonic's new moves and controls. I honestly can't remember the last time it took me so long to learn the controls and moves for a Sonic game. My last second major complaint is the bosses. I'd say about 80% of them in this game are pathetic and pushovers. Only when we got to Zavik did the game start picking up in that area. Like, Sonic Team really has to step up the plate when it comes to making boss fights, and not just push over 1 second deals. But yeah, those are pretty much my main complaints for the game. Let's get some positivity up in here. So like I said before, presentation-wise, this game is amazing. The graphics are beautiful, possibly the best I've ever seen in a Sonic game. Granted, this is probably subject to change very, very soon. Sound-wise, I love it as well. Lots of catchy tracks. Not as much as Colors in my opinion, but keep in mind, I'm really biased towards that game when it comes to the soundtrack, because I love every piece of music in that game. So now I have to be pretty brief because the credits are finishing pretty quickly. I love the 3D sections in this game. They really encourage speed, platforming, and exploration. The best times I had with the game are those sections. Granted, I like the 2D, but they really gotta get away from that. I think we've seen enough of 2D to last a while. Unless it's like Sonic 4 Episode 3 or something like that. But I'm just gonna skip to the point, guys, because I'm running out of time. If you're a Sonic fan who hasn't played this game or doesn't have a Wii U, and you're wondering, should I put towards that much money to play this game alone? I'd say if you're only interested in Sonic Lost World and none of the other Nintendo exclusives, I would personally wait on it. Wait for the price to drop even more. Granted, I got my Wii U for a pretty good deal on Boxing Day, as I mentioned before. But if you're not interested in the other exclusives the Wii U has to offer, I wouldn't go out and buy a Wii U just to play this game alone. But once that price drops, or if you're actually interested in those other games, because you're a Nintendo nut like me, I'd say definitely go ahead. Because here in Canada, I actually saw Lost World going for $30, and I would definitely recommend that to a Sonic fan at that price. So overall, I like Lost World. I don't know if I would put it in my top 10 Sonic games, probably not. But I didn't regret purchasing this game. I pre-ordered it before I even had a Wii U just to get the Deadly 6 edition. And I didn't feel like I wasted any money on it. Oh, and you gotta love these classic Eggman cutscenes that they're playing towards the end of the game after the credits. They should just make that a tradition. But anyways, my biggest concern about Lost World is that if you're playing it for the first time, please don't give up because of the controls. They are hard to get used to, I assure you. But once you master them and spend some time with them, you can do some pretty amazing stuff in this game. So that's just my biggest recommendation if you never touched Lost World before. And then again, you kind of spoiled a lot in this playthrough. I'm not gonna lie, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying it so far, because we're not even done yet from a completionist standpoint. And also, sorry for that brief overview of the game. I definitely didn't give this game enough justice just because of how fast the credits were going. So if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them in the comments. And ho 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 ho! What do we have here? A whole new world for us to explore in Part 8. Which I'll see you then, guys. And oh wow, the game doesn't even tell you what I unlocked. Even though it's kind of obvious. But I'll save a separate part for that, so don't worry, guys. Anyway, stay tuned, where we will do not only Hidden World, but also the DLC stages in the game. Until then, guys, catch ya laters.